Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. Napoleon Bonaparte. Now imagine doing that every single day of your life. That's exactly what Sigma males do, not on a battlefield, but in boardrooms, conversations, and everyday interactions. They're the men who let others think they're clueless, while secretly steering the whole situation. Here's a strange but true fact. Studies show that people who appear less intelligent are often trusted more and feared less. And Sigma males, they've turned that psychological loophole into an art form. They'll sit in a room full of self-proclaimed smart guys, nodding quietly, asking questions that sound basic, and by the time those same loudmouths are done flexing their IQs, the Sigmas already mapped out their weaknesses, motives, and escape routes. It's not that they're slow, it's that they've learned how profitable looking slow can be. Because sometimes the sharpest mind in the room is the one pretending not to understand what's going on, while quietly running the entire game. And that's what this video is about. The real reason Sigma males pretend to be dumb. And why, underneath that calm, clueless facade, they're often 10 steps ahead of everyone else. So, sit tight. This might just change how you see quiet guys forever. Number 1, they know that true intelligence doesn't announce itself. True intelligence doesn't need to announce itself. And that's the silent code Sigma males live by. They've seen how people who constantly try to prove they're smart often reveal their insecurity instead. The Sigma male isn't interested in showing off how sharp his mind is. He's interested in using it. He knows that the loudest person in the room usually has the least control, while the quiet one observing everything is the real strategist. That's why he doesn't rush to speak, correct, or flex his knowledge. He lets his results do the talking. For Sigma males, intelligence isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing when to act, when to speak, and when to stay silent. They've learned that true mental strength doesn't live in constant display. It lives in precision. The man who always needs to be right usually ends up missing the point. The Sigma, on the other hand, collects information quietly, processes it, and then strikes with perfect timing. One calculated sentence from him often carries more weight than hours of someone else's loud explanations. Their silence is not emptiness, it's awareness. They understand that every word spoken too early gives away position, power, or intent. So they say less, and in doing so, they know more. The Sigma male doesn't chase recognition because he doesn't need it to validate his intelligence. He knows that being underestimated is the best disguise an intelligent person can wear. The real win isn't in being admired, it's in being effective. And that's what separates him from men who crave attention. While others are addicted to applause, he's addicted to growth. While they perform intelligence for approval, he uses it to quietly build things that speak for him. His results, his peace, his mastery. He'd rather be misjudged as quiet than mistaken for desperate. He knows that when you're truly confident in your mind, you don't need to shout. You just let time expose your brilliance naturally. That's the paradox of the Sigma male. He hides his genius not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because the moment you start proving how smart you are, you've already given your power away. And the Sigma never gives away what makes him unstoppable. His calm, his control, and his quiet, undeniable intelligence. Number 2, they understand the art of tactical stupidity. Sigma males have mastered something most people can't even fake. The art of tactical stupidity. It's not ignorance, it's strategy. They understand that in a world obsessed with showing off intelligence, the real advantage often lies in pretending not to have any. When everyone's busy proving how smart they are, Sigma males quietly collect information, build trust, and move through doors that arrogance keeps others locked out of. When they play dumb, people relax. They stop filtering their words, stop competing, and start revealing things they shouldn't. The Sigma knows this better than anyone. People love to talk when they think they're teaching someone less intelligent. And while they're busy explaining, the Sigma is studying patterns, decoding motives, and gathering insights that would have never been shared if he looked too sharp. It's subtle manipulation without a word, the art of disarming through humility. He also understands that society rewards those who seem harmless. If you walk into a room looking like a threat, people become cautious. But if you walk in acting clueless, they underestimate you, and that underestimation becomes power. The Sigma uses that invisibility to move undetected, to get close, to learn. By the time people realize he's been 2 steps ahead, it's already too late. This tactic isn't about deceit, it's about control. The Sigma male doesn't waste energy fighting for dominance or attention. He lets others reveal their egos while he stays hidden behind a mask of mildness. That's how he gains access to power circles, confidential knowledge, or emotional truths that others guard tightly. The moment you think he's unaware, he's already analyzing the entire situation from the shadows. What makes this so brilliant is that he does it effortlessly. He doesn't act dumb in a cartoonish way. He simply downplays his insight. He'll ask questions that sound innocent, but are designed to expose depth. He'll pretend to miss a detail just to see who corrects him and why. Every interaction becomes a quiet experiment. That's the essence of tactical stupidity, knowing that the world confides in the seemingly clueless. And while most men compete to look intelligent, the Sigma male uses perceived ignorance as a weapon, not to impress, but to win without ever needing to show he was smarter all along. Number 3, they protect themselves from envy. Sigma males understand one brutal truth about human nature. People don't hate you for failing, they hate you for shining too brightly. They've seen how intelligence, confidence, and quiet success can provoke envy faster than arrogance ever could. That's why they don't flaunt their brilliance or broadcast their wins. They've learned to dim their light just enough to stay off the radar until their victory can't be undone. It's not humility, it's survival strategy. The Sigma male knows that envy doesn't always come from enemies. It often comes from the people who smile at you, pretend to support you, and quietly hope you stumble. So instead of feeding others' insecurities, he hides his growth behind silence. While most people announce every step of their progress, he moves in shadows, building quietly, letting results appear without warning. That way, by the time people notice, his position is untouchable. He's not afraid of competition. He just finds it inefficient. Competing means revealing your hand. It means alerting others to your path, your methods, your strengths. Sigma males prefer to let others underestimate them because it keeps the playing field clear. If people think he's average, they won't try to sabotage him. If they think he's harmless, they won't try to stop him. That's the secret. Invisibility is protection. Envy has destroyed more brilliant men than failure ever has. Sigma males understand that intelligence can be a threat in insecure environments. The moment you appear too smart, people feel challenged. They gossip, undermine, or try to outshine you, not because you did anything wrong, but because your quiet excellence reminds them of their mediocrity. So, the Sigma avoids that chaos completely. He keeps his victories private and his moves unpredictable. He doesn't crave applause, and that's what makes him untouchable. While others are addicted to validation, he's addicted to freedom. The freedom to think, create, and rise without attracting unnecessary attention. His calm exterior isn't modesty, it's armor, because he knows that once envy enters the room, logic leaves. And for a Sigma male, peace is worth far more than recognition. He'd rather win silently and watch others wonder how he did it, than shine too soon and have them plot how to take it away. Number 4, they hate wasting ammunition. Sigma males treat information like ammunition, valuable, limited, and too precious to waste. They know every word, idea, and insight they reveal can be used against them, so they keep their intellectual bullets loaded but hidden. While most people fire off everything they know just to sound smart or win arguments, the Sigma male stays quiet, patient, and observant. He understands that real power comes from not showing your cards until it truly matters. They've watched others exhaust themselves trying to prove their intelligence to the world, debating endlessly, correcting people who don't care, explaining things to those who will never understand. The Sigma finds all of that pointless. He doesn't need to win conversations. He wants to win results. His silence isn't shyness, it's discipline. He knows that timing and restraint separate the powerful from the desperate. When everyone else is talking, he's calculating. When others are reacting, he's reloading. By pretending to be less informed, he gains a massive advantage. People underestimate him, speak freely, and reveal their thoughts, plans, and weaknesses. They think he's unarmed, but he's simply conserving firepower. Then, when the moment calls for it, in a negotiation, a decision, or a conflict, he delivers one perfectly aimed statement that ends the discussion. It's clean, efficient, and devastatingly effective. Sigma males understand that the more you speak, the more you expose. Every unnecessary opinion or emotional outburst gives the world insight into how you think, what you fear, and what triggers you. They refuse to give anyone that kind of access. That's why they keep their words few and their intentions unreadable. Their restraint confuses people who mistake silence for weakness. But in reality, it's the calm of someone who already knows more than he's saying. For a Sigma male, control isn't about dominance. It's about precision. He'd rather let others waste their ammo proving points that don't matter while he conserves his energy for the battles that do. And when that moment comes, his single shot, a word, a move, a decision, lands with the kind of impact that makes everyone else realize he was never quiet because he didn't know. He was quiet because he knew exactly when to strike. Number 5, they know intelligence without timing is useless. Sigma males understand that intelligence alone doesn't win wars. Timing does. They've seen too many smart people sabotage themselves by speaking too soon, acting too fast, or trying to prove a point before the moment was ripe. The Sigma male doesn't fall into that trap. He knows that wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing when to use what you know. That's why he stays silent when others rush to show off. His mind is always working, but he doesn't reveal his thoughts until it matters. Their silence isn't hesitation, it's calculation. While others are talking, the Sigma is processing. He studies every angle, every emotion, and every consequence before making his move. That's why, when he finally does act or speak, the effect is undeniable. It lands with precision, power, and clarity. People think his timing is luck, but it's not. It's the result of patience and an almost surgical understanding of when to strike. In conversations, this shows up as restraint. He lets others debate endlessly, watching them expose their logic, weaknesses, and emotions. Then, when the noise dies down, he delivers one sharp insight that cuts through everything. It's never rushed, never emotional, and always effective. He doesn't need to dominate the room. His words dominate naturally because they arrive at the exact moment people are ready to hear them. Sigma males also know that brilliance shown too early often gets dismissed or resisted. The world doesn't always reward intelligence. It rewards timed intelligence. They've learned that the right truth spoken at the wrong time can still destroy opportunities. So they hold back, waiting until their environment is aligned. The people are receptive, and the impact will be irreversible. That's when they release what they've been holding in. An idea, a decision, or a move that changes everything. Their restraint is their superpower. They don't waste their genius trying to prove they're clever. They use it to create results that silence everyone else. When they finally act, it's never random. It's always devastatingly effective. That's the Sigma male's quiet secret. Intelligence impresses people, but intelligence with perfect timing controls them. Number 6, they use simplicity as a smokescreen. Sigma males use simplicity the way a magician uses distraction, to make others reveal what they shouldn't. They understand that pretending to be simple disarms people faster than intelligence ever could. When they act like they don't fully understand something, it's not because they're confused. It's because they're setting a trap. They know that arrogance loves an audience, and nothing feeds it faster than someone who appears naive. So they ask basic questions, play along, and let the overconfident ones dig their own holes while thinking they're being helpful. This isn't manipulation in the dirty sense. It's strategic observation. The Sigma uses dumb questions to study behavior, not to get answers. He's measuring tone, watching body language, and seeing who needs to feel superior. Every innocent question he asks is a test, and people usually fail it without realizing. Those desperate to prove how smart they are rush in to explain, often exposing their ego, intentions, and even hidden insecurities. Meanwhile, the Sigma quietly collects data that becomes invaluable later. The beauty of this approach is that it keeps the Sigma underestimated. People think he's slow, maybe even oblivious, but he's watching everything with frightening clarity. He reads subtle cues others overlook, who interrupts, who overshares, who masks insecurity with confidence. By playing the simple man, he gives everyone else permission to show their true selves. And that's exactly what he wants: authenticity without effort. Sigma males understand that the loudest person in the room often feels the weakest inside. So when they ask dumb questions, they're not trying to learn, they're diagnosing. They're identifying who's real and who's performing, who can lead and who needs validation. And all the while, the Sigma keeps his real intelligence tucked away like a hidden blade. His simplicity is a smokescreen, a mask that keeps him protected, underestimated, and in control. It gives him access to unfiltered truth while everyone else plays pretend. By the time they realize he was never confused, it's already too late. The Sigma male's greatest trick isn't showing how smart he is. It's convincing the world he isn't, until every piece on the board has already moved in his favor. Number 7, they weaponize underestimation. Sigma males understand that being underestimated is one of the greatest advantages a person can have. They don't see underestimation as an insult. They see it as camouflage. In a world full of men trying to prove how dominant, brilliant, or capable they are, the Sigma moves in silence, letting others assume he's average. That's exactly what he wants. The less people expect from him, the more freedom he has to move, observe, and strike without resistance. When people underestimate you, they reveal their guard. They get sloppy, overconfident, and predictable. Sigma males thrive in that space. They let others take them lightly, not because they lack confidence, but because they understand that invisibility is power. You can't fight what you don't see coming. By appearing harmless or slow, they earn something no alpha ever gets: access. Access to people's unfiltered behavior, their secrets, and their unguarded mistakes. Their brilliance lies in restraint. They don't announce their plans or flash their intelligence around to earn respect. They earn it later, silently, when the results appear and no one saw them coming. This tactic confuses people because it goes against everything society teaches men: to be bold, loud and assertive. The Sigma doesn't compete for attention. He competes for control. And control requires stealth. When others underestimate him, the Sigma gains insight into who they truly are. He learns who looks down on him, who underestimates him out of ego, and who actually sees deeper. It's an effortless sorting mechanism. Arrogance exposes itself without confrontation. And when the time comes, the Sigma uses that knowledge like a map. He knows who's a threat, who's an ally, and who's too blind to matter. The power of underestimation is that it gives the Sigma time. While everyone else rushes to prove themselves, he builds in silence. When he finally moves, it looks like sudden genius, but it's actually years of unseen calculation. That's why Sigma males never fear being misjudged. They use it. Because when people think you're harmless, they leave you alone. And that's when you're most dangerous. When no one realizes you've been playing the long game from the very start. Number 8, they hate explaining genius to mediocrity. Sigma males long ago realized that brilliance isn't something you argue about. It's something you use. They've seen how people with limited understanding often respond to intelligence not with curiosity, but with defensiveness. The Sigma doesn't waste energy trying to enlighten those who don't have the capacity, patience, or humility to grasp his depth. Explaining his thoughts to the wrong audience is like throwing pearls into a crowd that only sees rocks. He knows that kind of effort doesn't lead to understanding. It leads to frustration. So instead, he stays quiet, lets them believe whatever makes them feel superior, and keeps his peace intact. It's not arrogance, it's boundaries. The Sigma male understands that not every mind deserves access to his. He's selective with his words because he knows how easily insight gets twisted by those who lack depth. While others argue for recognition, he's content with being misunderstood because he values inner calm more than outer validation. Letting fools think they've won is a small price to pay for conserving mental energy that could be used to build, create, or strategize. He's not shy, he's strategic. Every moment spent explaining himself to someone who can't keep up is a moment stolen from something meaningful. Sigma males don't chase approval, they chase mastery. And mastery requires silence, solitude, and selective communication. When a Sigma nods and smiles during a conversation where others boast or oversimplify, it's not compliance, it's dismissal. He's choosing not to waste a single breath proving what time and results will make obvious. This approach makes them misunderstood by many. People mistake their quiet for insecurity, when in truth it's restraint born from intelligence. They'd rather let mediocrity bask in its illusion of understanding than disrupt it. Because when you try to prove your genius to those who can't perceive it, you shrink yourself to their level. And Sigma males refuse to do that. Their silence isn't empty, it's a filter. It protects their focus, their sanity, and their brilliance from being drained by the noise of shallow minds. The Sigma knows that true intelligence never begs to be understood. It simply continues to create, while everyone else is still busy trying to sound smart. Number 9, they study human nature in real time. When Sigma males play dumb, they're not disengaged. They're studying. Every silence, every blank look, every "I don't know" is part of an ongoing experiment in human behavior. They treat social interaction like a living laboratory, constantly observing how people act when they think no one smart is watching. This is how they learn the deepest truths about others. Not through confrontation, but through quiet observation. While most people rush to speak, the Sigma listens. He notices who interrupts, who talks down, who gets irritated when they think they're smarter, and who stays humble. Each reaction reveals something: pride, insecurity, honesty, hidden agendas. To the Sigma, these details are data points. They're not just listening to words. They're reading tone, posture, micro-expressions, and energy shifts. Their calm silence allows them to see patterns that talkers miss. They know that the way someone treats a fool says far more about their character than how they treat an equal. So the Sigma plays the fool intentionally, using his fake cluelessness as bait. People who crave superiority always fall for it. They reveal how they manipulate, how they lie, and how they view others they deem beneath them. Meanwhile, the Sigma just nods, absorbing everything. Later, he uses that information with surgical precision, not out of malice, but to navigate people wisely. This real-time observation gives Sigma males an almost supernatural sense of intuition. They can walk into a room and instantly sense tension, insecurity, or hidden motives, not because they're psychic, but because they've spent years quietly studying how humans operate when their guard is down. They've watched how greed hides behind charm, how weakness disguises itself as confidence, and how truth often slips through in careless moments. To others, the Sigma might look detached or unbothered, but inside, he's mentally recording every move like a strategist watching a chessboard. His silence isn't emptiness, it's awareness sharpening itself. While people think he's zoning out, he's decoding them piece by piece, and that's why he rarely gets played. By the time others realize he was studying them all along, he already knows exactly who they are, what they want, and how to handle them, without ever having to say a word. Number 10. They know power lies in perception. Sigma males have mastered the subtle game of perception. They know that in most social and professional arenas, people fear what they can't control and attack what they can't understand. So instead of projecting strength or intelligence like everyone else, the Sigma projects harmlessness. He lets others think he's passive, maybe even insignificant. It's deliberate, because the moment people stop seeing you as a threat, they start showing you everything they're trying to hide. Power to a Sigma isn't about dominance, it's about access. And access is earned through invisibility. When you appear harmless, people lower their defenses. They talk freely, make mistakes, and reveal their motives. The Sigma knows that loud power provokes resistance, while quiet power slips in unnoticed. That's why he keeps his tone calm, his expressions unreadable, and his intentions vague. It's not timidity, it's tactical deception. The less people expect from him, the easier it becomes to move without obstruction. Most men want to be seen as powerful. The Sigma wants to be powerful, and that requires staying unseen until the results are undeniable. He understands that attention is both a magnet and a trap. When you draw too much of it, you invite competition, jealousy, and sabotage. But when you move under the radar, no one prepares for your impact. They underestimate you, ignore you, even dismiss you, until your quiet strategy suddenly changes everything. He also knows that perception shapes outcomes more than truth does. In every setting, people respond not to who you are, but who they think you are. The Sigma uses that psychology like a tool. He crafts his image to serve his goals. If being underestimated helps him win, he plays small. If being forgettable grants him peace, he fades into the background. And when the time is right, he steps out just long enough to make a decisive move. One that others never saw coming because they weren't even looking his way. That's the Sigma's secret weapon, controlled perception. While the world wastes energy trying to look powerful, he quietly becomes it. And when he finally makes his move, it's too precise, too quiet, and too effective to be stopped, because no one thought he was capable of doing it in the first place. Number 11. They understand the ego trap. Sigma males have watched arrogance ruin countless men. Men who were talented, intelligent, even visionary, but couldn't resist showing off. They've seen how ego turns sharp minds into open targets. That's why they refuse to play that game. Instead of feeding their pride, they feed their strategy. They understand the ego trap better than anyone. The moment you need to prove you're superior, you've already lost control. So, they pretend to be less. They let others flex, boast, and underestimate, all while quietly studying how their egos operate. To a Sigma, every ego is a map. Once he understands what inflates it, he knows exactly how to predict it and control it. He doesn't challenge people's pride. He nurtures it. He makes others feel smarter, stronger, or more important, not out of submission, but precision. Because a man whose ego feels safe is easier to read and easier to manipulate. While others compete for attention, the Sigma plays the long game of invisibility. His calmness disarms. His humility blinds. People relax around him, revealing far more than they should, believing they're dealing with someone harmless. That's the brilliance of his restraint. He doesn't trigger competition, he observes it. He understands that arrogance is loud but fragile. It cracks under pressure, it overreaches, it overreacts. And when it finally implodes, the Sigma is there, unbothered, composed, and ready to take what others lost in the noise. His quietness isn't submission. It's a weapon sharpened by self-control. He doesn't need to roar to prove power. The lion that waits silently in the grass is far more dangerous than the one constantly growling for attention. By pretending to be less, he gains everything: information, leverage, and freedom. He's never the target because no one sees him as a rival. He lets others feel superior, and in doing so, they reveal their blind spots. Then, when the time is right, he strikes, not out of ego, but out of efficiency. The Sigma male knows arrogance burns fast and bright, but discipline lasts. And that's why he always wins quietly, because while other men are busy feeding their egos, he's been patiently setting the trap around them. Number 12. They're masters of psychological judo. Sigma males have mastered something most people never even realize exists: psychological judo. Instead of clashing with arrogance or trying to prove themselves right, they let other people's overconfidence work for them. They don't argue with egos, they redirect them. It's an elegant kind of intelligence that doesn't waste energy on resistance. When someone tries to dominate or show off, a Sigma simply steps aside and lets that person expose their own flaws. He doesn't need to win arguments, he wins outcomes. In a world where everyone is obsessed with being seen as the smartest or strongest, Sigma males play a different game entirely. They don't interrupt loud voices, they study them. They observe patterns, weaknesses, and blind spots, and when the time comes, they move with precision. It's not about manipulation or deceit. It's about understanding human nature so deeply that you can guide a situation without ever forcing it. While others are busy proving their power, the Sigma quietly uses that power against them. Their secret lies in restraint. Most people react instantly to provocation. They defend, attack, or compete. The Sigma does none of that. He lets people project, overstep, and underestimate. And when their arrogance reaches its peak, he calmly uses that momentum to shift things in his favor. It's effortless because it's rooted in patience and self-control. He knows emotions are a battlefield, and the one who stays calm always wins. Psychological judo also keeps the Sigma male invisible until it's too late to counter him. His silence disarms others. People think they're in control, unaware that he's quietly steering them where he wants them to go. He'll let them talk, lead, and even mock him until the situation flips, and suddenly he's the one holding all the leverage. The beauty of this is that he never had to fight for it. He simply let others defeat themselves through their own arrogance. That's what makes Sigma males so hard to read, and even harder to outsmart. They don't need dominance to win. They use awareness. While most men are busy throwing punches to prove who's alpha, the Sigma's already won. Not by overpowering anyone, but by letting everyone else's ego fall perfectly into his quiet, strategic trap. At the heart of it all, Sigma males understand one thing most people never will. Power doesn't always come from what's loud, seen, or celebrated. It often comes from what's quiet, hidden, and perfectly timed. Every move they make, pretending to be dumb, staying silent, observing, withholding, and striking with precision, is part of a larger philosophy: control through restraint. They don't crave validation, they crave understanding. They don't need to be seen as intelligent, they just need to be effective. What separates them from the rest isn't a louder mind, but a calmer one. While others spend their energy trying to prove how smart or capable they are, Sigma males preserve theirs, observing, waiting, learning. They know when to hold back and when to move. They understand that true intelligence doesn't broadcast itself. It maneuvers quietly, shaping outcomes while everyone else is distracted by noise. That's why they often seem detached, not because they don't care, but because they refuse to be pulled into meaningless battles that drain real power. Sigma males weaponize underestimation, use silence as strategy, and understand people on a level that makes them almost untouchable. They don't need the spotlight because they move best in the shadows. Every dumb act is deliberate, every quiet moment is an analysis, and every decision they make is layered with thought. Their brilliance isn't about constant performance. It's about knowing exactly when to appear ordinary and when to reveal the extraordinary. They've mastered the art of staying calm in a world obsessed with being noticed. And that calmness, that ability to stay still while everyone else scrambles, is what gives them their edge. Because when the dust settles and the noise fades, it's the Sigma who remains standing, not because he fought harder, but because he fought smarter. So, if there's one lesson from the Sigma male's way, it's this: never confuse silence for weakness or simplicity for ignorance. Sometimes the most unassuming man in the room is the one who's already mapped out every outcome while you are still trying to make a point. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Sigma mindset, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this truth. Drop a comment below. I'd love to know which part hit you the hardest. Until next time, stay sharp, stay aware, and as always, move in silence.